and there was an event which is like pretty much the biggest Brazilian gaming event. It's called Brazil Game Show. And I found it really interesting that the Nintendo section of that, because Nintendo goes to that convention, they had like a banner of Dream Buffet and some game stations for the game. And they didn't have, for example, Forgotten Land. They had Dream Buffet.
Hi, and welcome back to Kirby Conversations. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a writer and podcaster, and I am back again with Wick Kirby, editor-in-chief and prolific Kirby translator, Gigi. Hi, Gigi. Welcome back.
Hi.
And we are also here with recurring Kirby Conversations contributor and artist and popular Kirby commentator online, Bridget. Hi, Bridget.
Hello.
And we are missing Kai again. Kai has been very busy during the holiday season. She was back with us in Halloween and will hopefully be back again soon. She still remains an active part of the podcast behind the scenes, just was a little too busy with lots of holiday stuff going on. So we're thinking about her and hope she's doing well. But let's be us three for this one. And today we are in kind of a festive atmosphere, I think, for the end of the year. So we thought we'd talk about a particularly festive Kirby game, Kirby's Dream Buffet. It's a good time of year to be thinking about people coming together, maybe in multiplayer experiences like this, and also consuming a lot of tasty food, which I guess goes on in a lot of Kirby games. But this this just feels like a good kind of holiday one to be talking about right now. And there have been some requests for this one, I think, too. We've heard from at least one person who wanted us to talk about Kirby's Dream Buffet, so we thought we'd do that for this episode. But before we get to Kirby's Dream Buffet, I do want to mention that we have a giveaway going with our friends at the podcast Flashback 64. We're doing a giveaway together that will both flash forward to games of now or the future and also flash you back to games of the past. We're giving away $300. That's divided between a $150 Nintendo eShop gift card for current or upcoming games. And we're also giving away $150 worth of eBay funds if you want to go looking for retro games or accessories out there that would not be available otherwise. So if you want to enter to win $300 from us and Flashback 64, you can follow the link in our show notes to a Google form that has a series of questions for you about both of our podcasts. And it's a bit of an audio scavenger hunt. It is multiple choice to help you narrow it down a little, but you'll have to hunt through the back episodes for each of our shows to find the answers. And not too many people have gotten them all right yet. And you do need to get them all right for your entry to count. So if you take some time to look back through those episodes, you might have a good chance at winning this. There aren't too many people in the running yet. So we hope you'll check that out in the show notes when you're done listening. And the deadline to enter that will be the end of the day on December 28th, 2024. All right. So would anyone like to introduce Kirby's Dream Buffet for anyone who may not be as familiar with this game? What is Kirby's Dream Buffet?
If you want, go ahead, because I also feel it's a bit hard to explain.
It is a unique entry and something different for the franchise. It's essentially, I guess I would describe. I guess I didn't quite prepare myself for how to describe it in terms of genre, because I guess it could be considered a racing game, but also a party game. So it's a sort of a hybrid game between racing, party, and mini games. With the racing being pretty core to the experience. And it's fun. A lot of people have compared it to Fall Guys, but I don't know if I would quite say it is that. But I guess Fall Guys is also a race as well. So I guess that would be the closest thing that people often compare it to is Fall Guys.
Yeah, it's sort of the same genre of what that is, right? Sort of party racing.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it. But I guess where Fall Guys has like a whole variety of mini games, this has like these more like center racing segments, and between those is always generally a mini game between two races, and then it ends in a like a battle royale fight where the characters, all the players are going against each other with power ups and things like that. And then at the end, it also has this Mario Party esque bonus that you can gain from doing certain objectives or things throughout the race that also can affect who can win at the end. So it's got a lot going on. It's also like one of these multiplayer games with online, which Hal has been kind of getting into more with games like Battle Royale and Kirby Fighters 2. But this one is definitely interesting and is in that arena as well. And it's fun. I like it. I think it's good. It was only, I believe, $15 when it came out.
Yeah, I'm
Which,
checking now,
yeah,
and it's still just $15.
yeah, that's good. Like, I think for $15 for what it is, it's just like a lot of like replayability in terms of like if you got friends, family to play it with, it's really fun to just like put on and have like a couple of rounds of the game. I think it's fun. What are your opinions on it?
Yeah, Bridget and I were just playing it again last weekend, and I find that it has like a really good gameplay hook to it. Like
Yeah.
even a few years later now, like it has that great like one more round kind of
Mm-hmm.
aspect to it, because they go by pretty fast. And even if the format is pretty similar from round to round, they have a good variety of different stages and mini games and battle royale stages that it doesn't feel repetitive to me. I don't know. I feel like I can play this one for quite a while without it starting to feel like it's like each run is getting a little too familiar. And there's also a ton of stuff to unlock, and they're constantly giving you new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're feeling the sense of progression all the time when you're playing it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. When I mostly played the game when it was new, and I mostly played just online because I didn't have other people to play with, like in person. Sometimes with friends, but there are times I was really like into it. I was playing a lot. There are some times I just play a match or two because I wasn't really feeling like playing much, but I like that aspect as well because sometimes I just want to play something real quick. And this game also has that. You can just play like a Grand Prix or something, and you're like, okay, now I can do something else. I like that aspect as well because sometimes I like longer games, but it's also nice to have those smaller bite-sized games where you can just play a bit and stop after like 10 minutes. It's also nice in that sense. And I like the unlockables. I like that they're like reference to every single Kirby game pretty much. And there are so much music to unlock. And
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty nice.
Also, this is considering the localization. It says this was the first Kirby game in the series to be officially localized into the Brazilian Portuguese.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really impressed about that because this game released like months after Forgotten Land, and Forgotten Land wasn't translated. So this wasn't the game I would expect with the first one. But I guess it makes sense because it's smaller, maybe. And I just remember being really excited about it in that sense. I was just like trying to figure out what names they would give to like everything because this game has so many references, like so many things in the series. Of like, all right, what are you going to call like, I don't know, Kirby or something like that, or I don't know. and and I was just like going around the names and trying to figure out what they meant. It was really fun in that sense for me specifically. So, but yeah.
Yeah, for any listeners who don't know, Gigi is based in Brazil. Did you notice the game being more popular in Brazil, Gigi, than other Kirby games have been?
It gathers some attention because there are in like some the game news, like game journalists and whatever, were like, "Oh, this is the first Kirby game Brazilian Portuguese," and there was an event which is like pretty much the biggest Brazilian gaming event. It's called Brazil Game Show, and I found it really interesting that the Nintendo section of that, because Nintendo goes to that convention, they had like a banner of Dream Buffet and some game stations for the game. And they didn't have, for example, Forgotten Land. They had Dream Buffet, and this was in October. So I found that really interesting. Like, oh, they are promoting this game in Brazil, probably because it's in Portuguese. So there was some like more push for it, other than Forgotten Land, in particular compared to the like North America. I noticed, which was interesting. So yeah, it did gather some attention, and it was funny to see because I was, again, like I said, Dream Buffet instead of like Forgotten Land. Like, okay, I'm not going to complain. I just find it's funny. It's funny.
Well, that's a good point you make about how there really isn't a lot of text in this game, so that probably makes it much
Yes.
easier to translate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the announcement, so like we'll go back to like when the game first came out now. The announcement for this game was pretty interesting too. Would either of you like to talk about that? I know that's what we were talking a little bit about it before we started recording.
Honestly, I just want to say that in my case, I was at work. I would never forget. I was at work. I was just like working normally. And then I just grabbed my phone to check Discord. And then suddenly there was chaos like, new Kirby game. I was like, what? They just dropped the trailer. They just dropped the trailer. Like, oh, there's this new Kirby game. That was really funny. Because that's all I can say about it. And also it was like after Forgotten Land. Like everyone was still like, oh, Forgotten Land, Forgotten Land. No one was expecting like a new Kirby game that soon, even if it's just a small spin-off. I just remember like I wasn't expecting at all. I was just like at work, a normal day at work, and then suddenly Kirby game. What?
You thought
This
it
was-
was a normal day, and then suddenly new Kirby game.
This was during the 30th anniversary music festival.
Oh yeah.
And that festival aired, like, for me it was like really early in the morning. I pretty much took the day off from work the next day because I'm like, I'm not gonna get any sleep. I'm just gonna stay up and then I'm gonna watch this music festival and I'm gonna be so messed up. But it was worth it because yeah, there was a game announcement. And it was very, very exciting. It was, like you said, it was a jam-packed year of Kirby anniversary happenings between a bunch of merchandise, the award, as the awards as well, the Forgotten Land, and just like a whole bunch of stuff happening the 30th anniversary. And then on top of that, there's the Return to Dreamland.
Yeah.
And then this, and it was like, yeah, we weren't expecting like this much stuff. And it was very exciting, and it's interesting because like it's kind of like Nintendo does the Nintendo Directs to get people excited, and that's when they announce things. And like HAL Laboratory will just kind of have their announcements too during Directs, but this was something kind of HAL was doing themselves, and then they also kind of did an exciting announcement for, like they wanted to go all out, and they also kind of announced like I think like a Blu-ray for the anime from a couple years back. So like they were getting into the like direct mood with all the fun excitement and stuff, but like during an exciting event too, which was great. I actually have something from this interview here. This is actually an interview you translated, Gigi. So maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. But I found this to be interesting. This is Kumazaki being interviewed for about the music festival preparations, and he says it was difficult. And he laughed and he said the peak was when the development of Kirby's Dream Buffet and the last part of the production of the music festival overlapped. I would listen to game music in one ear while supervising music for the music festival in the other ear. The plan was to announce the release date of Kirby Dream Buffet on stage at the music festival. So we were preparing for the announcement thinking, we're working on it right now. So he was juggling both things and listening to music in both ears from both things is just very amusing and to think about.
Yeah, it's really funny. Just thinking like how much work they did that year, and they still put like Dream Buffet, which I found Dream Buffet like interesting in the sense that previously we had the smaller spin-offs like eShop exclusive, but they were all like versions of the sub games of other games. But then Dream
Yeah.
Buffet was like completely original, which I found really interesting. And I found it nice too because it was nice to see something, a spin off, like unique spin off again. And I found it really crazy. They made it while they had just released Forgotten Land, and then the month after, they pretty much went, "Hey, so we are making Return to Dreamland as well." Like, how? What are you doing? Thank you, but like,
They're spoiling us.
exactly.
But I agree. I was excited too because it is like you're correct. Like I feel like for this whole uh since Return to Dreamland, like a lot of these sub games have been interesting and new, but they have been a lot of the spin-offs from that have just been the sub games. This is like the first spin-off in a while that is an original game,
Mhm.
which like when I growing up with the earlier Kirby games, I feel like all the spin-offs were usually always something different and interesting, you know, from Dream Course being like like a cool puzzle mini golf gamer, and then Tilt and Tumble, and then Canvas Curse. And then for a while we didn't really have that kind of exciting not that not that Kirby Fighters 2 isn't exciting or whatever, but we didn't have like this kind of new exciting type of gameplay for a while in the series in terms of the spin-offs. So this is interesting. Like we get the first 3D Kirby game, and then we also get like the first spin-off in a while that is like an all new spin-off. It just feels like a very bold direction from HAL Labs for like the 30th anniversary. And it made me like very excited for the future of the franchise. It felt like it's the 30th anniversary, they're going all out, and then they're also talking about wanting to take more risks or do more things or have Forgotten Land be sort of a stepping stone into like Kirby sort of going more places. And I felt real excited that whole year and for this game too.
I think the same interview you're talking about, it ends like Kumazaki mentioned exactly that the third anniversary had like three completely different games, like 3D. They called Dream Buffet like a online multiplayer, and Return to Dreamland, the 2D platformer. And they felt like with so much like variety in the genres, they felt like Kirby moving forward can just like be whatever. So that's certainly pretty much what they're going for, and probably they're going in the future, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just formally too, we don't get a lot of games with main Nintendo characters like this that are not long set piece $50 or $60 games. We get that with
Yeah.
Kirby, but it's like really aren't like short form Mario games in the same way, or short form, and obviously like HAL is also in the picture here and stuff too. Kirby is more of a kind of second party character than a first party character, but we don't really get like short form Mario games or short form Zelda games. Not that it's never happened, but Kirby is one that they're willing to experiment with, and it shows how you can have a really complete experience without it necessarily being a $60 experience. Not that those games aren't like a huge part of just what video games are, but it's cool to see these kinds of formal inventions. And I know the game got a little, like, it got kind of mixed reviews, and I think the biggest criticism was just that there wasn't as much content as some people felt like there could have been. But I feel like for a $15 game, I think it
Yeah,
seems very rich in content.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
think that
agree.
keeping that in perspective, like it's the equivalent more of like a short story or a novella rather than like a long novel. Like it's meant to be its own formal designation. So I wouldn't really look at this as being like lacking in content. It just is only as much as it is. But what that is feels like a complete thought.
Yeah, I mean it's solid. It's the kind of thing you can pick up and play with family and friends like whenever. Maybe it's not the kind of thing you pick up and play like every single day. I think we just live in a gaming environment too where there are all these like free to play games where people pay nothing but play for hours and hours, and it's like these kinds of games have a different philosophy. And I think there's conversations now about games where it's like what is an appropriate amount for what kind of content. And I think there needs to maybe be diversity in that, where it's like, well, you just pay the $15 and there you go. And all the stuff about microtransactions and stuff, that's like a whole other thing and a whole other conversation. But I like seeing like entries like this. And I agree. I felt the same way. I did not feel ripped off for paying like $15 for this game, because I got a whole party game essentially that I can just come back to. And when I do, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel it doesn't have a lot, but like it's not much money. So like you're paying for what you get. So I think it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's talk about what is all under the hood here. So, or actually, let's talk about the story first. Were you aware that this game has a story?
I was aware that they released a light novel.
Yeah.
So I did write down a few things about that, but not a lot. I did not read the novel. I think someone on Tumblr, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the person's name, and I wasn't sure because this is like someone kind of translating it themselves as well, and I don't think it's complete, but I read a little bit of what it was about, and it seemed cute.
I did read it, but like if you don't want spoilers, I don't need to tell it. But it was really interesting to get like Dream Buffet, because Dream Buffet, like the game, the story is just Kirby goes eat a cake in I don't remember the name. Like there's a dream fork, then Kirby wishes the cake was bigger, so the fork makes Kirby tiny, and that's the story.
Yeah. Kirby is invited, according to WikiKirby, it says Kirby is invited to a, quote, gourmet festival at the, quote, Dream Restaurant, where he finds a lavishly decorated cake covered in strawberries. He decides to eat the cake using the dream fork, which was lying on the table nearby, and it makes him smaller because he imagines that, like, his dream is to eat a mountain-sized cake, and its way of fulfilling that dream for him is to shrink him down, which I like the sort of, like, monkey's paw nature of this, if you're familiar with that story, right? The idea of like wishing for something and then you get it, but not the way that you intended to, and for it to even be like something that, like, I could imagine this kind of taking a dark turn, right? Someone wishing for a mountain of something and then they get it by shrinking down, but Kirby's just fine with that, right? He doesn't mind, right? He is very happy, and he has a very charming, happy expression on his face, just looking up at this giant cake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I've always enjoyed, like, I feel like because they live in Dreamland, just a surreal, dreamy idea of like, yeah, what if he just like wished it and it was something weird like this? It's, for me, it's fitting, but I think it's cute too if they decided to do some supplementary stuff for it. But the basic idea that he's just like small now and on a cake, it's like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you read the novel, though, Gigi.
Yeah.
I have not. I think it's just in Japanese, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but I do try to like read the novels as they come. I just really like them. They are in Japanese. I can't really read them without like help of dictionaries and stuff. I translate stuff, but I admittedly don't know too much like Japanese to read it like without help. But they're fun. They're just fun, really. So I have read that one, and I try to sometimes share with people what I read. But there are people who also prefer to wait for the proper fan translations, and so I also respect that. So, what I just want to say that novel is really pun intended, sweet. So like it's really cute, really.
Well, one thing I learned from the novel is that Bandana Waddle can bake, and he enjoys cleaning.
Yes.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
It's really cute.
And in the novel, like DDD and Meta Knight also get like shrunken down, right? Doesn't like everybody get shrunken down? And there's like a witch or something.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an original character in the novel, and she is a witch. I did not write her name down. I think it was like
Pauline.
Pauline, right? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay.
Mhm.
Which is cool. It's like oh, look at that. It's like an original character. She's not in the game, but I
Yeah.
guess she's related to this.
This kind of
Yes.
reminds me of our Kabuki Quantum Fighter conversation with like the game being like sort of inspired by this movie that it really had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
This idea that there's like all this lore, but it's like the game doesn't really reference that, but hypothetically, this is what's going on.
Yeah. It's like, sure.
Just real quick, like the novels generally, there are a couple novels that released recently. Like there was a Samurai Kirby novel, there was a Music Fest novel. So some novels recently just get like something that has either no story or doesn't really have a story, like Music Fest, and then they create something original with it, which I find really interesting. Like there's also like a Megaland novel, which is also like completely unique in story. So it's like Dream Buffet. They got the game, like the basic story, and wrote a whole novel about it, like with a bunch of original stuff, which is cute.
Huh. Yeah,
I
that
find
is
it really
cute.
interesting. Yeah,
That's cute. I'm surprised they haven't put them out here, but maybe
yeah.
they'll consider
I
it.
hope one day because they're really nice. I like
Mhm.
them.
So, if you were to pick up the Dream Fork, what food-related wish would come true for you?
Oh man.
Probably the same as Kirby's, to be honest. Everything in that game looks so good.
Yeah.
You would want to be shrunken down?
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I mean, it's not that being small is a bad thing, but it is a very dangerous thing. I've seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weirdly, the prequel to Kirby's Dream Buffet is just Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It explains
don't
the scene
know.
where everyone's just rolling around in cake.
Yeah, I want that, I guess, but without getting small.
Yeah. Just like the Dream Fork can just create food for me or something that works.
I
Oh
think
my
my
God, you
Dream
could-
Fork would like teleport me to different vegan restaurants that I've either been to and liked, but are like not anywhere near where I live or that I haven't tried yet.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh, that's a good one. There's a vegan place near my job. It's so good. I'm not vegan, but I think there should be more vegan places.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, Kirby's Dream Buffet. It has you racing through different stages. It has you doing mini games and completing in battle royale stages. But an interesting twist on this too is that you're not just like, as much as you do want to get to the end first, you want to win the battle royale. It's really all based on your strawberry count, because along the way you're getting strawberries or you're losing strawberries, and the winner is ultimately the one who has the most strawberries. So you could lose the races and still win if you got strawberries somewhere else. It really all comes down to them. And I was particularly enjoying the free rolling mode this morning when I was going back to the game, because I'd never really tried that before. But it gives you an interesting environment to just kind of like practice in and just like play around in. And I found that I could also make Kirby much bigger than I can make him normally just playing the Grand Prix. And I guess the max size is 500 strawberries, where he gets
Ooh.
really big and unwieldy, but it is funny to have him get that big, because I don't feel like he ever gets quite that big in any of the actual stages. I suppose unless you're like doing really well. But typically I don't see people get more than 500.
I've gotten more than 400, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
I've gotten really big before. This makes me kind of curious about like a Katamari style, like
It does have that kind of Katamari feel.
is good. Make that Kirby as big as possible. I have a friend whose child is very into this game, and that is pretty much her favorite mode, I believe, because she's young and she's still having a little trouble with the racing aspect of it, but she just loves going into the free roam section and just like exploring. I think in that section too, you have the opportunity to keep attacking Wispy Woods, and there's just like this unique I guess like change in his design where he will have the teardrop, just like in the games if he's like beaten, which I don't think you have a chance to see in the battle royale, but you can see it in the free roam.
Nice. I was pounding away at him, and he didn't start to cry yet. So maybe I just didn't do it long enough.
Yeah, it takes a while. You have to keep doing it, but he will get it, because I did that too the other day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that mode because it had a lot of Easter eggs.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing right now that I didn't know actually, or couldn't remember, but there are cookies of the other Switch games in this mode. I'm seeing on with Kirby. There's like Star Allies, Super Kirby Clash, Fires 2, and Forgotten Land.
Yeah, they're hidden around, and I think it's kind of fun to explore, even if there's not a set goal for that mode, just to traverse the obstacle course.
Yeah, it's nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at the different stages here, I guess I don't know if it's like a spoiler to say all the different stages, because you do unlock them. So I guess if anyone doesn't want to hear what the different stages are, maybe you want to jump ahead just a little bit. I'm just going to read off the different like types of food we have for the different stages here. We have Baumkuchen, which I was not actually familiar with, but it was a kind of German like layer cake. Cake rolls, chocolate fountain, donuts, hamburgers, ice cream, pancakes, and shortcake. Those are all the racing stages. And the food looks really good in these stages. Like, I don't normally think about graphics that often in a Kirby game, but it like they've really hit the bullseye on making a world that seems both cartoony and whimsical, but where the food looks realistic enough that it actually looks quite good. I think especially the sugar texture and the gummy texture on certain like enemies and objects, like you can see like the granules of sugar on it and really imagine what that would taste like.
It looks so good. I think they must have snuck around and like got the person who did that beautiful like cube of meat in that one Mario party game that looks like also like food but also like Mario. It's like it's so insane. Like in this game has a similar effect where it's mouth-wateringly like stylized but mouth-wateringly delicious and real feeling. Like it looks great, and I love all the details too, where like the with the Grand Prix it'll have like the menu that shows the modes and the level or whatever, and it plays into the whole food thing. It's just like it's lovely.
Yeah, they are so committed to the theme. The levels are so detailed. Sometimes, in Mario Kart or something, you might have a level that's based on like, cheese or something like that. And it's like, yeah, it's yellow, but I don't know that it really feels like cheesy. Whereas this, like the food really comes to life. Like it really does feel like you're traversing these worlds that are made out of food and not just food themed. No offense to Cheeseland, which is a fun stage. It's just, I feel like the food comes to life here. And then the mini game stages, we have cheese fondue, chiffon cake, cupcakes, Elflin cake, Kirby cake, pie, and tea time. And then and waffle. And then for the Battle Royale stages, we have barbecue, frozen treats, Megalore cake, puddings a la mode, sandwiches, sheet cake, wispy stage cake, and whole cakes. So a lot of different cakes, and got some like ice cream bars for this one, and pudding. All very delicious foods here.
The cheese fondue and like the chocolate too. It's so
Yeah.
I really like those ones in particular. And the character cakes are amazing too. It makes me wish that like I had like a real like Magalore or Kirby cake or Elflin cake.
Yeah, I wish they were real, like even in Kirby Cafe or something, because like the Elflin cake's really cute. In particular, I really like it.
There was a dish that they released for the Kirby cafes related to Kirby's Dream Buffet. I forget which one it was, but I thought there was something.
Yeah, there was. I don't remember the name.
Do you remember what it was? I can quickly look it up.
Yeah.
Ooh, this I don't remember. I kind of remember the Forgotten Land stuff. They're still putting out like Forgotten Land stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kumazaki just posted like a picture of like now they have like this thing that's like the car Kirby, but it's like the container for the food or the plate. and like they
Yeah.
put a dish in there. But he'd taken a picture of it. I guess like he must have gotten like a clean one or taken it home or whatever. And he put like the Elflin and the bandana Waddle Dee in there. It was a very cute picture.
Yeah, I think they sell those there because there's a store. So there's some stuff they use in the cafe itself that you can buy like to bring home. I think that's one of them. It's like the car thing, right?
Yeah, it's car Kirby.
It's
And you
really
could put
good.
food in them or whatever. I kind of want that. So
All right, I looked it up. They released a dessert called Kirby's Candy Gourmet Tart, and it is like a strawberry tart with a Kirby on top. And it looks kind of inspired by the little like strawberry bunches in Kirby's Dream Buffet.
Sounds nice. As far as also other crossovers, there was the Tetris 99 31st Maximus Cup event that happened between December 15th and 19th during 2022, and it was 100 points for a themed I guess Tetris I don't know what you would call it, not stage because it's Tetris, but environment that is based on Kirby's Dream Buffet.
Yeah, I remember because like I only played Tetris 99 like to unlock the Kirby stuff. Like every time they had these events, I would play the game enough to unlock it and then not play again until the next one.
Yeah, I have all the Kirby stuff too. I would log in for those.
The promotions work.
It's true. I mean, I like it. I like Tetris, but yeah.
Yeah, I also like the game, but like that was my motivation to play.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Same.
need Kirby's Dream Buffet 99. Just
Yeah.
99 Kirby's.
That would
I'd be
fun.
interested.
Yeah.
The game's internal code name during development was Breakfast. So I guess there were conversations where someone said they were working on breakfast or had to check in about how breakfast was going.
Yeah.
At least that makes sense to the game. I also found out there's a specific name for the character that is the gloved hands, which actually looks like a character we've seen in Kirby throughout the years. There's that game over screen hand, there's master hand, crazy hand, which are also in Smash, but also in some Kirby. But these hands have a specific name. I don't know. Do a little trivia and see if you guys know or remember from reading it. But do you know what the name of the hands
I
are?
actually don't.
I know, but like I also am for Kirby, so like
all right, I'll just say it then. But there is a right and left hand that exists. So they're a pair of it, but they are called the server hands.
And fun fact, they are characters in the novel.
They're in the novel too?
Yeah, and they talk. They talk.
They talk?
Yeah. It's really funny.
With what?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're a pair of hands. Yeah. Sure, whatever.
But yeah.
Interesting. Do they have different personalities the same way like Master and Crazy Hand do?
Not really. They're like twins, I guess. They work together. It's hard to explain. But like
one's
it's not
more
like
hungry.
But yeah, in the game they appear like in the battle royale. They try like to grab the Kirby's. They try to like in the ice cream one. They like get a fork and just remove part of the stage. It's funny.
Yeah, I do like when he goes around menacingly with the tongs.
Ooh,
yeah.
Never have just like kitchen tongs been that threatening.
Yeah, it's funny, and they take you away. Ooh, it's so scary.
And then the copy abilities are all translated into foods as well for this one. So we've got burning is a pepper. We've got for drill a carrot. We have a little like spring-like gummy for high jump. We have a new ability for this game, which is jelly. that sort of gives you a kind of not quite invincibility, but it lets you pass through things. We have needle candy. We have stone chocolate. We have the tornado frosting, which is like a little cupcake. And we have the wheel, which is a donut. And I liked a little tidbit that I saw on Kirby Discoveries, which is a Blue Sky account that people should check out. Kirby Discoveries has a lot of fun Kirby trivia on it. And they had something about how even the abilities that don't normally appear in the Battle Royale mode, for example, you can smuggle them in from like a different round. So if you're like holding on to an ability, I guess I didn't realize this, but if you have an ability at the end of like one stage and then you move on to the next one, you'll get to like bring the ability you have with you into that next stage. So it's a way to smuggle abilities in sometimes that would normally appear in a certain mode.
Ooh, I was aware of this, and I was like, you could do sneaky things too, where it's like if you hold on to something for like the battle royale, for instance, then you can get a bit of edge during the beginning there.
Yeah, so that's a good strategy. Like the high jump that only appears in race, like that's a pretty powerful offensive move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very fun, and I love that they do look like the food. And I also noted too that they're essentially transformations for Kirby, which is nice. This is something where like the abilities change Kirby's physical form, which is something we've seen. I mean, the first time we see this is in Kirby's Adventure, where he becomes a ball with the ball ability. But then in Kirby's Dream Land 2, 3, 64, and Forgotten Land, we start to see things that just morph his body totally, which is fun because, like, I think normally abilities are kind of like weapons or things that Kirby can do. But there's also the side of Kirby that is like his body and shape is like a thing that he can also morph and change to suit the gameplay as well. And it works really well here in this game. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and also I found it really nice, interesting that they brought back burning after like not appearing since Canvas Curse, which I always like seeing like old abilities return, like just because. Sometimes people go like, "Oh, burning won't appear again because we have fire," but no, they put burning here because it makes more sense. So I like seeing they return, and I also like that aspect as well that each ability has like a food related to them, and like burning is a pepper, which is like perfect, and we use a donut, which also makes sense. I just find it really cute. Like they really went with the food taming, like even in the copy abilities. That really is nice. Like really interesting that like everything is food in this game. Everything, even the copy abilities.
Yeah,
it's really well executed. And it's just really like charming.
Oh yeah, another thing that is also food is like the enemies, which I also find really nice.
Oh yeah. The enemies will have elements to them now that is like food related too, or look like food. It's also a very nice touch. They went all out with this game with the theme. It's amazing.
I also particularly like the customization you can do with Kirby in this game, which is something I'd like to see them continue with. Being able to have like all the different colors for him, being able to give him different accessories from different characters or kind of turn him into different characters. We have all the masks, right, in Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and that was a neat way to customize him as well. But for this game, you really kind of turn him into like Koo or Rick or things, and it is very funny to see him transform in that way. And it gives you a lot of expression with your character. And while the online isn't as active as it used to be, and I don't know that it was ever that active, but it like gives you the opportunity to make your character look really distinct from all the others.
Yeah, and I think we haven't seen something like that too with the color changing since like I think it was Squeak Squad had like the spray paints, right? And people always talk about like I'll always see comments now and then about people kind of missing that element, which is like, yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to keep the iconic like IP brand Kirby pink thing for like the main go of the game, but like for multiplayer or once you're done with the game or as an unlockable, just being able to do other colors is fun. And I wouldn't mind seeing stuff like that at all, or even like outfits and stuff. Like I love the different outfits in like Kirby Fighters 2. Things like that are cute. Just something that gives you kind of purpose too as you unlock stuff, get like nice prizes and things like that too. It helps with the longevity of a game, I think.
Yeah, I like the colors, and I also like that they brought back a couple from the like Amazing Mirror and Squeak Squad, like even down to the names, like Grape. I'm seeing here in the list, like Mint, and there are a couple like I think Sapphire or something. Like it was neat that, and also what I like is that they some of the colors change, like Kirby's eye color. Like if you go to the Meta Knight one, Magular one, the eyes are just like exactly like the characters. So I also like that they it's not just Kirby's body, it's also the eyes. And like, and again, the costumes aren't just hats or like masks, like in Return to Dreamland. Sometimes they're just like a mask and a hat, or a hat and something else. Like Rick has the nose thing, like to look like Rick.
And
It's really
the
cute.
little tail in back too.
Yeah, yeah. So like I
cute.
really like that.
Yeah, I agree. I even like the items that are like not even other character related. I mean, those are always cool too, but I also like to see like unique things like the hamburger hat or whatever. That's like, oh yeah, that makes sense in this game. And I could see Kirby wearing like a funny food hat. Like, it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the constant content drops that you're getting in something like this or Kirby Fighters 2. I think that could be carried over into the mainline games. Whereas as excellent as Kirby and the Forgotten Land was, I did get to the end and wish there was even more that I could be doing. And it's a pretty content rich game already, but like eventually I did feel like, oh, like I wish there was more to do. And like there could have been some kind of, just getting little customization things or getting new colors or something like that. There could have been a drip feed of things that would still just kind of incentivize playing the levels over again or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, Forgotten Land is so good that like I just felt like that as well, just because it's like I wanted more. Like I wanted more treasure road challenges and stuff. I don't know. Obviously, we got a new console in the horizon, so at some point, so I'm sure it's just like saving it for the next one. But I would like to see it if they do plan on doing that too.
And games are allowed to end, right? Like games are allowed to be the length that they are, and just that's what it was. It just feels like if there was some kind of thing to keep coming back to that isn't really more content, it's just something that makes you want to keep playing. It could have been fun.
I agree.
Yeah, I do think like after like Return to the Land Deluxe release after Dream Buffet, and it had the masks, and I think like even like just having the mask in the mainline game for me feels like they want to do it. Maybe the masks was like an easier like way to do it, also with all the remakes. So the masks is just like it's just a flat thing in front of Kirby's head. So like they can make a bunch of them. Like it's not too much trouble like to animate or whatever. But I think like just for having that in a mainline game, it shows that HAL wants to do that for other games and not just spin-offs. Because like you said, we had that for fighters, even Super Kirby Clash that had the costumes that sure have the stats, but like they are costumes. They're really unique. And even with Forgotten Land that had the evolve abilities with other designs, I feel they're coming back and real. I don't know if what's happening, but I feel like they're more like open to not sticking just to the regular capability hats or even the colors. Colors we don't have yet in the mainline game again, but I just feel like if they did evolve abilities and then the masks, I think a next mainline Kirby game is really likely to have something like that. Because it feels like they want to do more of it.
It would be nice. I'd be open to it. Yeah.
I did like that the masks had the voices too. It was fun to hear what some of the characters sounded like.
Yeah, that and That wasn't in the Dream Buffet, but that was in Return to Dreamland
Yes,
Deluxe when
I
you
loved it.
selected it.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's nice. Nice little details all over the place in these games.
Mhm.
I want more of that. Please, Hal.
Al, if you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated just having online multiplayer. I think that's
Oh,
something I
yeah.
want to see them continue with, because the last few Kirby games have had really neat multiplayer modes, but they were local multiplayer. And this showed that a online multiplayer game, played remotely with people, like, does work, and I think it's something that people would play.
Well, it worked better on this game because Battle Royale on 3DS was a bit of a challenge, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't help that it was also on region locked. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But it would have
yeah.
been nice to, have someone online, somewhere else play as Bandana Wild D while you're playing as Kirby in
Yeah.
Forgotten Land or something like that. Like, being able to play the Merry Megaland games online could have been fun.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
definitely a lot of potential that some of the other more recent Kirby games had for multiplayer things that, and I understand that you can't do everything. But I hope that whatever they do next, that there's some way to play it online with people.
On the topic of online, here's a little more, I guess, fun facts about the game. But for the online matches, if they run short, the empty spots will be filled by computer players, most of whom have nicknames calling back to older Kirby games.
Yes.
For example, Rainbow Island, Ado-chan, Magmister, Tuna Blade, and Void alike are some names. So
I
yeah,
like Tuna Blade.
yeah, that's my favorite one.
In Wii Kirby, we list like every single one and try to figure out the meanings.
And we also like look at the Japanese names because due to space, like in the characters, a couple were changed, but like in general, they are the same. If anyone ever has the time, like in the CPU page of Wii Kirby, there's a lot of like fun stuff to see. There's so much stuff. And also, fun fact, they changed like the names in other language. So, like for example, in Portuguese, these names are also like different. So it's interesting to also see how they adapt each name.
Were there any particularly amusing ones you remember from Portuguese?
I would try to remember, but in general, they're more like the localization of stuff. And honestly, I will have to try to remember. I don't remember any right now from the top of my head, but they're cute. Like, because even in the English ones, there's like rainbow sword, which they couldn't spell like rainbow sword, so they cut a couple letters. I just find it really funny because it feels like an actual nickname from someone on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
I really like that. That's like what gets me. It's really, I think it's cute, really.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. It's extra details even in things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows the level of intentionality that was put into this game for a budget title, like that. It's still a really polished, complete product. It's just a smaller experience.
I agree.
Any other thoughts about just playing the game, the flow of it, anything that you particularly liked, or anything that you would change about it?
I enjoyed it. I think I can understand why some folks might find it frustrating. Because of like the party nature of it, where it's like, especially with the last round, the battle royale, some people feel different ways about it. You can go from having a bunch of strawberries to suddenly having like all the way going down to fourth place. If you're knocked over, it could feel a little hectic. But I do feel like after playing it for some time, there is like kind of a strategy where you can kind of get get good results a lot of times too. Being mindful of like bonuses, trying to get going out of your way to get sort of berry stacks, or different types of berries will like net you bonuses. just being cautious or using your powers carefully too. You can use jelly to kind of avoid certain things in the battle royale mode. So there are things you can do to give yourself an edge, and I would say there's still a strategy to it. There's shortcuts in the races also, so if you learn those, you can get an edge. So I think it's still like a fun game. I wouldn't say that it's probably like the kind of like technical competitive type of game that something like Air Ride turned into, but it's fun, and there is something that you could do in there to get an edge.
Yeah, there probably is high level Dream Buffet somewhere. We should talk to some really high ranked Dream Buffet player and see what the true meta is. But yeah, Bridget, I think you do have a lot of the meta figured out, right? When we were playing, you were doing very well. And I think that is good advice that I hadn't thought as much. Like, I knew about the bonuses at the end, but I hadn't been thinking about like how to optimize my chances to get them. Where it's like making sure you're doing like once you know the different categories, if you just like make sure to do any of those things while you're racing, like at least once, like you're at least checking off as many possible things, even if you don't know which ones they're going to choose. Like you'll at least met all sorts of random objectives along the way, so your odds of getting some of those bonuses at the end are higher.
Yeah, it helps. It could sometimes it could edge you right over the other players, and they're like, "What the heck? I was ahead in this thing." It's like, well, I did the thing, so.
And the Battle Royale does count for a lot. I think if there's anything I would change, I would maybe make it, because you lose 20 strawberries to someone if they knock you out. And I would maybe make that 10 or something, just given the rate at which you're given strawberries. The degree to which you can gain and lose them in that Battle Royale really does make it feel like the stakes are just so much higher that round than any other round. And it might be nice if it felt a little bit more balanced between them. But I also get that idea of you want to go into the end still feeling like anybody could win. So it is a sort of equalizer in that regard. But
Yeah.
maybe make it not like quite as sharp a reversal of fate if you knock someone out or not. Given that some things can just get kind of messy, and there's that, the RNG of what power-ups you're getting and stuff like that are also in play. Maybe I would tone that down just a little bit. But it is fun having those stakes so high at the same time. It gets intense, and the pressure is definitely on.
I think the only thing I can add to that is that there are people that speedrun Dream Buffet for like the 100% completion, which I found really crazy because it's like 18 hours. So I just want to mention that is probably a meta, at least for speedrunning.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wait, is the record 18 out? Wait.
Yeah, that's the record for 100%.
Wow, my. How I feel like once it's like that long, it's
yeah,
it's no longer a speed run. It's just like, I mean, I guess it is, but it's not speedy. Wow, that's wild. I didn't even know people were doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's like the only category of the game.
Well, I guess they would be a good guide though. Probably if people are looking for tips on how to go faster and win more, like you would probably look at how they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's probably some level of like Gran Turismo finding your line through the stage or something, right?
The only thing I know is that the person which has the world record for 100% Dream Buffet is also the person that has the world record for 100% Kirby Fighters 2. And Kirby Fighters 2 is 1 day, 8 hours, 38 minutes, and 32 seconds.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know about speedrunning these types of games.
Yeah. I just find it really crazy, like.
And if they had fun, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Just it's wild. But there is a strategy, so that's what I'm saying. Like, is there a strategy for doing good in Dream Buffet? Probably because there are people speedrunning it.
I am watching a speedrun of just the donut stage right now, and he's constantly jumping. Seems like jumping is faster than just rolling.
Oh,
interesting.
Which really changes it.
Oh, that's how you can all win.
Bouncing his way across the whole thing.
Whoa.
So that's the matter, I guess.
Hmm.
Just jump, jump, jump.
We figured it out.
Cool. Well, any other final thoughts about Kirby's Dream Buffet?
In my case, just want to say that I really like the music of this game.
Yes.
There are a
Ooh,
couple
yeah.
new tracks that are really fun, and there are also so many like nice remixes and stuff. And fun fact, this is the first Kirby game like in the modern era that had like every Kirby composer, like everyone, because usually we had like the composers of the main games, like Hirokazu Ando and Jun Ishikawa, and a couple of the newer ones. And people like Shogo Sakai and Meguro Hara were doing like Battle Royale and Rainbow Curse. And this game does like all of them, plus even oh, I forgot his name, like Ikegami. I think it's Takahashi Ikegami. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Which is like a guy who composed for like Dreamland 2 and even Pinball Land. And he wasn't really doing much music lately. So even him crediting this game is really nice. It's like it's also a celebration of the Kirby composers, and I think it's really cute.
That's amazing. Kirby's Pinball Land is a very nostalgic game for me, so I was very excited to hear even music from
Oh yeah,
these old spin-off Game Boy games and everything, and Tilt and Tumble and all that. It was amazing. It was good.
Another fun fact. This was the first time ever they remixed songs from Block Bell. Like Block Bell didn't have any remixes before. That was crazy for me. And
it's criminal. It's criminal exactly, because that soundtrack is so good.
Yeah, I agree. Finally, they made
it.
Yeah.
This does remind me of some of those Game Boy games.
Yeah, they remix a lot of songs like from these older games. I think it was on purpose. Like they had Tilt and Tumble, they had Block Ball, Pinball Land, even Star Stacker. Like I feel like it's in purpose. Like it's not like a coincidence. And I really like that.
It is a real celebration of Kirby for the 30th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're getting together with family for the holidays this year and want to play a very accessible, potentially frustrating, perhaps, depending on how you feel about the Battle Royale mode, I like it. I'm never frustrated playing this game, but I could see how some people might be. But if you want to get together and play a very accessible game that's also very kid-friendly, very pick up and play, maybe play some Kirby's Dream Buffet with your family.
Yes.
All right, well, we will wrap up our Kirby's Dream Buffet discussion there. But thank you all for listening and joining us for the last regular episode of the year. We will have a conversation with the composers on our show coming up soon for January, and some other things planned for January as well. But that'll wrap things up for 2024. So if you've been listening throughout the year, or even if this is just your first episode, thanks for listening to Kirby Conversations. Again, I'm Sean Douglas, and I've been joined by Gigi and Bridget here. And the show is also produced along with us by Kai, Captain Dangerous Parker. You can follow the show on social media at the handles in the show notes. We particularly hope you'll follow us on Blue Sky. That's where we're most active. And we continue to post regularly on Instagram as well. And we'll keep posting on Threads and maybe other places from time to time. But you can mainly find this show on Blue Sky and Instagram. And we also encourage you to follow us wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. And we are on YouTube now as well. And we'll continue to work on what we want that video representation of the show to look like. Our theme music is by Megan Kello in a new arrangement by Duncan Pixel T. Smith. And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to send to the show, you can email us at mail@kirbyconversations.com. Thanks for listening, and we will be back next year with more Kirby Conversations. Bye.
Bye. Happy New Year's. See you next year.
Yeah, bye. And happy holidays.
Bye.
What is the event? The speedrunning event? You can't have them there.
Games done quick.
Yeah, games done quick.
Yeah, you can.
This year's Games Done Quick will just all be Dream Buffet. We'll just sit here and watch someone for 18 hours.
Oh, God.
Yeah.